Hello, subconscious. How are you?
Mm.
Joanne has some questions that she'd like to ask to clarify some things for her right now. And I think we'll have a little bit of fun tonight. The questions are great. So the first question she has is Joanne's subconscious connected with Archangel Uriel?
Yes, that is indeed true. Archangel Uriel is part of Joanne's subconscious, a very big part of it. The fact that he did not want to discuss that in a session surprised her, and it was to trigger her to see how she felt about that. She hadn't quite wanted to settle into the fact that he is a part of her and she is a part of him. So she had to listen to him say that he is amongst many. And he is amongst many. And she just felt the pressure of, oh God, what am I supposed to do now with this extra part of it? She's only just started to settle into the feelings of being able to cope with the walk-in being a part of her, and she takes that responsibility, even though she has to do nothing. She takes the responsibility of her walk-in very seriously. And so then the added bonus now that she feels the pressure of with this archangel, who has just been her subconscious, who's always been her subconscious, and it really doesn't mean she has to do anything extra. It's just really a part essence of her. It is a larger part of her, and while there is no one else with the same volume, shall we say, of the archangel, she is the primary version of him. She has the most, just like her sisters, and just like her sister has the most of Archangel Michael. They are very, very diligent to come down and experience this. And they have spread, the archangels have spread their essences all around the world. As Andre would say, they get around. And that is fine. This is about spreading the energy, helping the people who are going to be doing leader roles during the last few weeks of this earth. They've been doing this many times, so they will naturally kick into their routine. This is their true job. This is what they do time in, time out, shall we say, even though there's no such thing as time. So they're very used to this, and as soon as they get there, as soon as they evolve into their more crystalline bodies, they will have more extra consciousness of who their positions are, and they will remember so much more. This will not always be the case for other light workers and other life savers, but it is going to be the case for the Arcturian based family line that Joanne is connected to, because they all have the higher roles, because they did create this shit show, shall we say. They did neglect how much things were getting out of hand, because they were generally busy with other things. So it was not an excuse, but it is the way that it goes. And when everyone is off this planet and it's all done and dusted, literally and figuratively, then it will be fine. Then the Arcturian family can relax and realize that, whoa, that looked really out of control for a while there. But we did it. Haha, look at us, everyone in the universe. We have done this. We have given the beings on this three-dimensional planet their semi-fifth dimensional bodies early, which has never been done before. So this is very fantastic, and almost like it kind of got away on them on purpose so they could have this feat. So it's very exciting, very exciting. And when you start questioning some of the motives, maybe to be able to be first in this universe, really, to be able to do such a thing, with, of course, the support from the others. It's not just the Arcturians that are doing this. They would not have really been able to do it by themselves. It was because they had greater connections to the Palladians and the Sirians and the Orions and every other connection that they had, they pulled in for this. This is a great unity of other beings, other cultures, other species connecting. This is why this is just an honor to them, because they have, while they have come from their own family, shall we say, their connections and friendships that they've made all the other lifetimes that they've experienced in situations that they've been involved in. This is a great group collective project. And while the Arcturians did create this planet, they have had many other beings support them through this. The other beings supported them through this because they want to evolve and be able to create their own planets down the line. And so it is all a working bee to be able to finish the, and then be able to use these lessons about getting these bodies upgraded earlier, and be able to do the shift and this evacuation on this planet more successful than any others. So other planets, the people were not awakened enough, the beings were not awakened enough, they didn't trust the process enough, and a lot were lost because they could not be convinced that there was destruction about to occur on their planet. And that was very challenging to convince them otherwise. So there was many times where the occupants of planets have not trusted and gone within. And effectively, that's how the Arcturians have got a lot of support through the years, or through the ages, is because those people who did trust them were saved. And then they wanted to be able to help the Arcturians save other beings and other culture, other planets. And so this is why you have so many, so many supporting the Arcturians at this moment, because they have been helping for eons, other planets, other cultures, species.
Okay, thank you very much. With regards to Archangel Uriel, when Andre heard in his Reiki session many years ago that he would need to research and connect with Archangel Uriel, does that have a connection to Joe and me meeting Joe?
Yes, absolutely. And if you're tapped into that energy, then you would have got a sense of strong familiarity, because the subconscious, the archangel was your connection. You have been working with him in other lifetimes, and so it was, you were directly your Palladian self was working with the Arcturian, who was the archangel. And don't get hooked up on the name of the archangel. It's just what humans have called them. So it is really just an Arcturian who's busy doing stuff, who's had a role, who's trying to help humanity. So you know the Arcturian very well.
Okay, cool. That's interesting. Yeah, that was something that came up in the when Joe and I were talking, so it was interesting to know that. Thank you very much. So the subconscious and the higher self are different, as we understand from the sessions. What is Joe's higher self doing at the moment?
She has a feminine energy, so we will say that she is she. She is overseeing the finer details of the new Earth. She flips. It's very painful for her to come and see the planet right now. So she is tapped into Joe's energy. And so when Joe starts allowing herself to think about what's happening in China, she cries, and it's actually the tears of the higher self. The higher self wants to feel the loss and tragedy through Joe, but Joe also is not fully 3D. So she can't really allow herself to go down that those emotions as much as others, because she has a job to do. So she has, just like her ego has been limited, her losing herself with tragedy has been limited too. She has had other smaller tragedies in her preparation to understand how she can, if she allows, go completely under. The tragedy in her country about the 112 people who died in the Christchurch earthquake, it took her offline emotionally for around 2 weeks. And she pined and mourned for her country. And so this was preparation for her to realize that when you get obsessed watching all the news and all of the carnage and tap into the energy of tragedy, she can do that very well. She's experienced that, but she knows now, and this is why we've been telling her so much, do not go down there, do not go into that emotional state. Allow yourself to, but check yourself. Do not get sunk down there. She knows she won't, but we're just reminding her. We're very serious. She cannot feel overwhelmed with it. She must remind herself about the fact that this is clones, this is merely a play, this is to help humanity waken, and she does not need to buy into the drama of things.
Okay, that's really good advice. And would you say that a lot of Joanne's emotional sort of releases over the last few weeks have been in preparation for that, by releasing those emotions early?
Yes, and this is what we've been doing for the channel as well, for the YouTube, is to be able to get people to actually hear from us. That shit's all real. You know, it is going to be awful. It is going to be tragic. There's going to be much more information than you guys can even cope with, really. But because you've got this massive advantage, this massive leap forward of processing and knowing all that is happening, really, you're already prepared emotionally. You have all been upgraded quite profoundly, and the people who have been listening, the people who listen to the most of these sessions and take it very seriously and focus, they have been having profound upgrades, and they have not only been physically upgraded, but their mindsets have been upgraded too. And this is why it's so comforting for people listening to these messages, because they're just so sick of not being told the truth. And so when they're finally told this raw, unfiltered information from us, it just makes them feel like they're not being tricked by anyone else anymore. And they can go away after listening to us and feel what feels right for them. We've never said to them to trust us blindly, obviously, because that would be not serving the individuals. They need to do their own inner work and trust themselves and empower themselves. While we are definitely giving them keys to be able to find and navigate the truth from the bullshit, they have definitely grown. And this makes us very happy, because a lot of you listening do not need to be triggered into the lower emotions. You'll feel them, you will process it, but you will recover. You'll bounce back so much quicker when you remember it's clones, when you remember that these things have already been taken care of, when you remember that the crimes against humanity have already taken place, and the bigger purpose of that. And so it will be just an experience. You'll still learn from it, you'll still feel it, but you will not be destroyed by it. And this was very important to us. We did not want you to be emotionally destroyed by it, because we all have to bounce back up and be positive and continue understanding the plan. And the plan has always been to awaken you, grow you, empower you to be ready to be evacuated. And this is, you know, we're also just doing it and evolving you. You know, it's like it's an overhaul. You know, we're really doing a lot of stuff. And so it's not just one thing. This is why it's been very complicated, because we needed to get the bodies upgraded perfectly and gently and appropriately. And we are aware that there's a lot of people that are complaining online because they're feeling dizzy, or they've lost their appetite, or they can't sleep, and going into worry, fear, running to the doctors, and then just adding more medicines to themselves and more products. And this is just, we're glad that there is support out there for people. who are saying, these are Ascension symptoms, relax, our bodies are going through something. This is the most natural thing you guys and your bodies are doing right now. And so people who are holding on to fear, holding on to worry, want to feel victimized by their bodies and the situation, they're learning big lessons right now. And we are aware that there's a lot of Facebook communities where they're all wanting to be very dramatic with their upgrades and support each other. But then now it sort of seems like it's getting who's got the worst, who's got the real worst Ascension symptoms, and let's compete that way. So, we're really wanting people to support each other, but without feeding into the victim mode and the worry and the fear. Because if you're worried about these small adjustments that we're making in your bodies, you're gonna not cope so well when the bigger stuff starts happening.
Yeah, that's really interesting. There's definitely an energy of superiority on the Facebook chats and groups, wanting to be more spiritual than the other. So that's really interesting that you brought that up. So thank you very much for that. I think Joanna is referring to the connection with Archangel Uriel when she says this, but was wondering, why did you not tell her about this connection sooner? Why now?
Well, she was still focusing on the walk-in and that role, and she still wanted to support and honor Johnny and what he wanted to come and why he came to her and what he wanted to experience. And so she has been diligently focusing and considering him and his mission and why he wanted to be here with her at this point. And so that's why she's been driven so much with this work to honor Dolores and to feel really connected to Dolores. And so Joanne has been diligently focusing on the Johnny and Dolores connection and honoring them, because she really knew that that this was important for Johnny to do this work at this time. And so, it was focusing on that and focusing on this work, and then also focusing on Johnny's connections to his soulmates and his soul family. And so that took a lot of work to try and get that focused on and to be healed. And it was important for Joanne to honor that. The fact that she accepted this walk-in and who he was something that was important for everyone. And she really takes that quite seriously. And the fact that we didn't tell her about who her Arcturian person is just because she would have been distracted from the Johnny and Dolores Cannon relationship situation. So she has had so many lifetimes with Dolores. She that is her true heart and her passion to help Dolores in any way. And so dealing with Johnny was important and was an honor and a nod, and was respectful to Dolores. So that was perfectly done. And now as this work is almost wrapping up, because there is not going to be this work in this manner on the new earth. And so when you've only got less than 60 days left, and not all of those days will be able to do these sessions, it's time for her just to be able to enjoy the sessions, knowing that she has honored Johnny, because his mission was to get the bigger truth out there. His mission really wanted to be about telling people about the new earth, and also being part of advising people how to prepare themselves. He always wanted to be able to help people prepare. And so this is important. This was his original plan and hope and dream for humanity, was to learn information from these sessions. And so now he has finally had this experience, and he's very happy. This is the reason why he will not continue on to the new earth, because his mission's done. He is now going to evolve somewhere else, and it is all good, even though Joe feels quite comfortable having him here now. It's almost sad that he's leaving. So this is the reason why she wasn't told about the other mission, because the other mission with the Archangel is more about after she gets upgraded into a crystalline body, and then when she enters into the new earth, because as we've said before, but she didn't know what we meant, was that when she is in the new earth, she can switch between her crystalline human body or her Arcturian more like body, where she feels natural at. So this is it is interesting. She thinks this is all bullshit, by the way. She's like, how does this all work? She's trying to do what she tells her clients not to do. She's trying to like understand what we're saying and apply it. And so she's right here focusing on what we're saying because this is important to her. She put in more interested when she started feeling emotional and wanted to know why. And then she was like, oh man, I actually am going to be sad when Johnny leaves. So she's just very aware of what we're saying to her now. And so she can change her body when she's on the new earth to what she feels suitable for. And she can be more advanced looking in her crystalline body and still maintain capability frequencies on the new earth because it has a bigger range. While most people will start off with their smaller versions of crystalline bodies, you evolve in the fifth dimension physically, and you become less dense, and you physically, at the end of your experience on the new earth, you can be fully crystalline with no matter, not physical at all. And so you're going to evolve within that lifetime if you want. There is lots to discover and explore in the new earth about energy and frequencies and matter and vibrations and manipulation of that. I mean, this is where you really are most comfortable.
Yeah, really interesting. Actually, I have a question with regards to the sort of crystalline body and the more physical body. That's how we are sort of as humans on the new earth and how we evolve and grow. Is that sort of how it works with the, like, say, the Arcturians as well? Do they have a similar crystalline type body thing, or are they more physical based? How does that work?
They can be everything. So they can be fully crystalline and then tone it right back down to be more physical, but they're not completely physical. So it just depends on where they feel most naturally comfortable and also who they're around, because you want to be seen by people and you want to connect with people. And so you will match whatever they're used to seeing to start off with. But it will just be, it'll just merely be a thought, and they can change and become more fully crystalline. But the problem is that, you know, the more high you go, the less people can sort of see. It is a balance. There is a balance there.
Yeah, cool. Thank you very much. Thank you. So Joanne wants to know, subconscious, what work has she been a part of with creating or making the new earth?
So her higher self has been diligently working towards the new earth and using the blueprints from this earth. So nothing's gone to waste. All of the hard work that the higher self did to help create this planet has been finely tuned, updated, a better version of it, shall we say, and that has been basically the blueprints for the new earth. So this pleases the higher self very much that she could be part of that. So she's very excited, and there has been some really fun, exciting additional things because of the fifth dimension. You can bring in more diverse plants and more diverse creatures, which can be comfortable in the fifth dimension. So the higher self has been completing this. It is complete now. It is all ready to go. Which is very exciting. It is such a beautiful time. They have taken Joanne there once in a dream. She was purposely not allowed to remember but she remembers waking up with a big smile. Because it was truly wonderful, and she now remembers why she felt that completeness. And it was that as soon as they could say, right, yep, we're all ready for it, they grabbed her and took her in a dream, and they plonked her down, and she could just feel the energy of the new earth. And this is making her emotional now because she remembers it now. And so it was to let her know everything is okay. This was when she profoundly realized that she cannot not believe in the new earth, because she had that awareness and sense of what it is like profoundly. And so the higher self now is starting to work on other new projects because she's very busy and likes to create and likes to move on. And there's also lots of other planets that are also evolving and needing her help. So the higher self is very busy with lots of things, but she does appreciate feeling, tapping into Joanne's emotions, because she knows it's not too taxing, because Joanne does have that block to go completely down into very negative. There is a buffer there, so the higher self can learn from Joanne's experiences without it being too heavy for the higher self. So it's all fantastic, and the higher self loves the emotions that Jo is experiencing, because it is just perfectly balanced in so many ways. So it's great lessons for everyone.
Yeah, thank you very much. Wow. And so what will she be doing? Yeah, what will she be doing when she actually gets to the new earth in her crystalline body? What's her role?
She is going to be someone who is profoundly grounding people into the new earth and making them feel very comfortable. People who have not really done a lot of their inner work, who still have some shock and trauma. It's going to be in their memories. It's not going to be physically in their body. So you release, there's a lot of impacts, emotional impacts that people carry in their bodies, and they don't actually know how. It's a lot of surprise impacts, a lot of injuries, actual physical accidents that you've had in your bodies have all impacted onto your bones, changed your balance, changed your skeletal systems to be uneven, and for your body not to be working in complete harmony. Once your skeletal system has been out of line, then everything in your body changes really to support the false balance within the body. And so it is really heavy, really, really heavy. All of your childhood accidents of everything is still impacted onto your body, into your bones. People don't understand the power of the bones. The bones are very, very, very crucial. You must have a good, healthy balance of your body. Unfortunately, there is not many modernities that actually focus on the bones, and even your osteopaths and chiropractors will not actually acknowledge and understand the power of the bones. And so this is, so when you have the trauma, when you have the car accident and you impact your body, the trauma, the shock of the accident stays in those bones that are impacted. Say, for example, the seatbelt impact across your collarbone. And so that just triggers your body more into fright and fear and fright, that the whole world's going to eat you feeling constantly, even when you're in the most happiest, safest place in your room, in your beds all snuggled up, your body still feels like a monster's going to come and get you. So when you move into the 50, you're removing your body that is the carbon base that has those bones. It just, you become less dense, and so that pressure in your body just releases. So goodbye all the trauma, goodbye all the hurt, goodbye all the beatings, the car accidents, the drunken nights falling down partying. We're saying these as examples. These actually haven't happened to Jo, but we want you. She actually has fallen off swings as a child, and we had to hold her. She actually broke her neck when she was 6, and we had to intervene and keep that all working for her. She had a big headache and that sort of stuff, but we actually intervened there because she needed to not have a broken neck. If we hadn't have intervened, she would have been a paraplegic from the very high up, neck down. It was very serious. She was knocked out and we worked on her before she could move. And so she is now aware of this. So it is, we often help you when there are accidents that are very serious that didn't need to happen. And accidents do happen, but we will support people who don't have that in their life contracts. The lesson she needed to learn from that accident was that her mother actually isn't diligent. Her mother actually did not care for her. And she had to walk from the park to where her mother was after having a very big shock, knowing something has very seriously happened to her body, and knowing something actually helped her. She was very aware of us, but also very dazed and confused. And so when the mother shrugged off the massive egg on her head and the concussed child, it was just another opportunity for Joanne to see how she was neglected as a child, and that we have always been there to protect her and to support her. And this is no fault of the mother because the mother was very young, but this is to remind Joanne she doesn't need to feel responsible for her mother. She was merely a vehicle to bring Joanne in here. And while the mother is grieving and very challenged and very alone right now because of her situation, that is part of the mother's growth and the lessons the mother wanted to experience. The mother has no close people in her life because of her behavior, and we've taken away everyone that has been important to her because she needs to really use this time to go within. And this is all fine. We don't want Joanne to feel bad about this. We're wanting to remind Joanne that we are her family and she needs to focus on us as much as we're focusing on her.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm just interested to hear. I'm sure this would be great for people to understand. We talk about how you guys can't intervene, and mess with our free will. How does that change when, for instance, when Jo was in her accident as a child? What changed that made you be allowed to intervene and help her and stop her from being a paraplegic?
It wasn't in her life contract, and so it was against her life contract. It was the fact that she was malnourished as a child, and she didn't have a very good brain function because of the upbringing, and so she didn't have very much concentration. And so when she was on the swing, which she very rarely was allowed to do, she had no adult supervision, and she was watching older children standing on the swing, going very, very high. And so when she was watching, and then they left, she wanted to mimic what they were doing. And so she did. She mimicked what they were doing, and it was her first time, and she was unskilled. And so she lost focus and concentration and fell off the swing and hit her head on the concrete. And it wasn't, we're not breaking her free will, because her free will was broken by this accident. And so lots of guardian angels, shall we say, come in and help save people who should have died in accidents or should have done this and should have done that. This was going to kill her. Being a paraplegic would have shortened her life very quickly because the mother would have neglected her even further. And so we had to step in. This free will does only work when you are living your life as you should. If it was in Joanne's contract to die a year later in a hospital alone, we would have not done anything. But that was not Joanne's purpose. Do you understand that?
Yeah, I do. So free will is something that is decided on before you make your contracts, and you have the free will to make your contract. And if you steer away from the contract, you are able to intervene to put us back on to the contract that we chose with our free will. Is that sort of how it works?
You have free will to choose what you want to do in your lives. We know your contract very well. We help you with it. And so we are doing our job to honor your free will and your contract together. If you wanted to commit suicide, suddenly one day you decided that you were going to end it all and you wanted to commit suicide, and you're using your free will. You will have the act and you will meet us very quickly after you've committed suicide, and we will say, right, what was here? We will discuss it with you. We will see if this really was what your purpose was. We will connect with you. If there has been just a weak moment and you actually didn't really want to commit suicide, it was just a drunken thing or some other impulse thing, you will go back and you'll remember who you are, look at your life contract and go, yeah, I really fucked up there. And then you will go back, we will change you to go back, and you will not die. It will be a failed suicide attempt. So this is, your actions will give you the free will to choose what you want to do. But when it turns into you severing your life, when it isn't your life exit points, we do come in. A part of your contract is we will protect you from yourselves.
Okay, yeah, I get it. I get it. I mean, it's such a vast sort of convoluted law system that we can't possibly understand, I'm sure, but I understand the premise of what you're saying for sure. So thank you for clarifying that. So on a lighter note, we were wondering, I know you showed Jo the memory of her dream and being on the new Earth, but we were wondering if you could now show Jo and give her the experience and feeling and seeing what it's like living there. Is that possible?
Yes, she does have that now. It is very harmonious. She is very happy and content there. It is what she was hoping for. So we still want her to focus on this lifetime, because the more she taps into the new earth, the more she finds it dreary to be here.
Yeah, sure. I understand that for sure. Okay, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Oh yes, the tripod. What is the connection? What is the connection with the tripod, and how does that work? Please.
Yes, well, Joanne did help you. You've had other lifetimes together, other connections, where you were part of supporting. You did have another lifetime on a different planet, and that planet also needed to be evacuated. And so Joanne did connect with you. Well, not Joanne, but Joanne's versions of Joanne, shall we say, connected with versions of Andre and with Kane, and connected to support. And you did trust and believe her once before, and so you can easily trust and believe her once again. You know it's not her information. You know there is a bigger beings, a bigger wealth and vast wisdom here. And so you were so grateful for the evacuation heads up on that planet that you were living on, that you chose to help and assist this lifetime in this way, because you know how hard it is to convince people about time to get off this planet and be prepared and raise your vibration. So this is your this is how you have worked hard to help humanity get to this point, and you will continue to help humanity get to this point. So it's very settling and convincing. You know what's about to happen because you've already lived this before in a different scenario. And so the connections between you have all been very supportive. There has never been any betrayal. It is always been from the higher dimensions connections anyway. The higher selves know each other. and it is harmonious, the whole connections, and it's always been to help, profoundly help each other and to profoundly help others around. And so we have grown so much in different experiences. There's not much that hasn't been covered and healed and nurtured anyway as we've grown. And so while we didn't know each other earlier in this lifetime, it was just because we've already had those arguments in the 3D, had those issues in the 3D. And so we didn't need to rehash them in this lifetime. We've already covered those. And this is right now, we need to connect right now because of the growth and the importance of the time.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it's been incredible to meet Jo and Kane. And I think the growth that we've seen in ourselves has been amazing in the short time that we've known each other. So it's a real honor to have met the other two parts of that connection. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
That you have made no growth. You have only merely remembered who you are.
That makes sense. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, great. Oh yes, I wanted to ask one more question regarding the tripod. Are we doing enough right now? Is there more we can be doing to help other people? Sometimes Andre, feels a little bit like he could be doing more. What do you advise on that?
No, you can't do much right now. People need to have it all played out for them. Remember, they are on this journey too, and they don't want to have the illusions taken away from them. So they have to, and they must experience everything that's about to unfold themselves naturally for them to learn. As Joanne keeps trying to say to a few people, well, they're just clones. I don't care. Like she's kind of not buying into the drama of things. She's kind of, she is approaching things how you all should, but there is not that much growth there in learning and evolving. While other people do need that shock and that experience and that, oh my gosh, this is awful, and this naughty man, and that, oh my goodness, she did that, oh, shocking. A lot of people have to go through that. So when you are wanting to do your real work, it will be after the fact, and that will be fine. So you will be able to do more work when people have experienced all those feelings, and you are to bring them up when they are down.
Yeah, okay, that's great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that clarification. So we want to talk about Joanne's children, please, subconscious. We want to know, will they be going to the New Earth with Joanne?
Yes, they all will be going to the New Earth, including Boston, which is surprising to Joanne, and she will feel his energy, and that will be very fantastic. They've all got different roles to play. They will all be very busy, but it is very important too. So we're not wanting to discuss much about that with her because there is stuff that she needs to experience and grow from. So, she wanted to be able to experience as it all unfolds. So you actually don't have access for that information.
Okay, no problem. I respect that. Thank you so much. And Joanna's wondering if she'll see Sam on the New Earth.
Yes, his soul essence will be there too. And she will be very happy to see it. And that will be wonderful. They have that connection, which is pure. She's actually been now shown that the soul essence actually, this makes so much sense. An actual essence of Andre actually was in the cat.
Andre was in the cat?
And a small portion of Andre's soul was in the cat. And so you actually have been together this lifetime. And for 19 years, she just relied on the cat for emotional support and comfort. and now she can see that that it is very beautiful.
Wow. Oh my gosh. So we've been together for 19 years.
Yeah.
That's gorgeous. Oh, thank you so much for sharing that with us. That's really special. I love you guys. Oh my God. Wow. I've lost my place now. I'm all confused. One sec. Okay, well, that's. Is there anything? Yeah, is there anything else then maybe you could tell us about that connection with my soul being in the cat and how that has worked, why that happened, like it did, please.
Because Joanne has been so alone, the very first thing she did when she moved out of her home to go to art school, within 2.5 weeks, she saw the cat. And actually, actually there was 2 cats, and it was Zen and Cujo. And it actually was Kane and Andre and their essences. And it was to help her because they knew she was going to be struggling for so long. And unfortunately, the boyfriend that she had at the time also loved his cat, so they got both the brothers and loved them like children, and like they were very, very, very special cats. And when the relationship dissolved, the boyfriend took Kane, Kane's essence with the cat away, and he lived with Kane. And then and so it was separated, and then Joe had Sam, and Sam died on the 22nd of December in her arms, and she just wanted to die with him. And it was just before she was given her children to focus on, and to have this part of her life start the process. So she has had Kane and Andre in her life, just sparks of their essence that she could feel them without knowing.
That's really, really beautiful. Is Joe okay? Should we take a small break, or are we okay to continue?
And this is enough for today.